It's a true crime case that makes headlines across the country.
So you dismembered the body too?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the body parts?
They're in the house. I know, I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
What did you do with the head?
The head I put in that bucket, that black bucket.
Black bucket?
It's not very often you see a female criminal accused of a crime this heinous.
Was the chain ever around your neck?
I put it
Do you have any marks or anything?
You didn't get the chance to turn it. No crazy.
How does this woman become the central figure in one of the most disturbing murder cases in Wisconsin history? Prosecutors say she had a twisted fascination with the state's most prolific serial killer.
Did you note any searches related to Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes. 24 total.
But the investigation is only the beginning.
I will pray that you meet the same fate as your idolistic Jeffrey Dahmer. So have a good life, business.
Once this case reaches the courtroom, it isn't just the evidence that stands out. Her behavior is unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm Elizabeth Milner, and welcome to this episode of Female Criminals. You know, I've been covering true crime cases for years and have never seen a case quite like this one. It's in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where we meet this week's female criminal, Taylor Schabusiness. Taylor was born in Chicago, Illinois in November of 1997. And despite having a last name that would eventually dominate the true crime universe, she wasn't born Taylor Schabusiness. Her birth name was Taylor Denise Coronado. According to Taylor's father, Arturo, her childhood was relatively normal. After reportedly living in Chicago for years, her family made the move to Wisconsin when Taylor was in the 4th grade. But at 11 years old, her world was turned upside down. After battling a prolonged illness, Taylor's mom, Marla Coronado, passed away. Once Taylor reaches high school, her dad, Arturo, says she began acting out. During Taylor's senior year, she's reportedly expelled for fighting another student. She's sent to live with her grandparents in Texas to finish high school there, and she graduates. However, Taylor ultimately moves back to Wisconsin, and that's where she meets Warren Chabot. It's unclear to us exactly when Taylor's drug abuse began, but according to family, Taylor's drug usage increased when she began dating Warren, after he reportedly introduces Taylor to harder drugs like heroin and methamphetamine. In addition to loving drugs, they seem to love each other too. By Valentine's Day of 2020, Warren Chabot and Taylor are married. Taylor Coronado is now Taylor Chabot, but the newlyweds don't keep the Chabot name for long. They eventually adopt the unusual surname Schabusiness as their legal last name, reportedly an idea that came to them during a period of heavy drug use. Taylor continues to struggle with her mental health amidst all the drug use, and soon finds herself in trouble with the law. According to a 2020 criminal complaint, Taylor's arrested for battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest. Police were called to respond to a woman who was allegedly under the influence of drugs and knocking on doors. When officers arrived, Taylor allegedly said she was on a different planet right now, that she had just shot up, and then she reportedly showed the officer the track marks on her arms. During this incident, Taylor allegedly kicked at officers who tried to prevent her from walking into oncoming traffic. Taylor's behavior and mental health reportedly reached a breaking point. It's so serious that her dad Arturo felt she needed to go to the county psychiatric center.
She was not in the right state of mind at all, so I feared that she would hurt herself, so that's why I took her. We both agreed. We both went there together and tried to get help, and then ended up releasing her, and she came home, and that was about it.
You might be wondering why Taylor's dad is shackled and in an inmate jumpsuit. At the time of his testimony, he's serving a 12-year sentence for second-degree sexual assault of a child, a charge in which he reportedly pleaded no contest.
Okay. Was she prescribed some medications and things like that?
She was at that evening, no, but yeah, she has been on some medications that she'd never liked taking those pills. I mean, they kind of messed her up even worse.
Did they cause her to hallucinate or cause her to have
I think it all started with a Seroquel that was taken, back. I don't understand too much about those prescription drugs, but they never agreed with her at all.
According to court documents, Taylor is hospitalized after a suicide attempt in April and May of 2021. Doctors reportedly diagnosed her with PTSD and bipolar disorder. During the same year, she gives birth to Warren's baby. But it doesn't appear they were ever able to raise their child together. I searched through records with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. It shows in May of 2021, Warren served time in prison for violating his parole. Then he reportedly began serving time on federal drug charges. Warren and Taylor are still legally married, even with Warren off in prison. But Taylor is in no position to raise a child alone, so her child moves to Texas to live with her grandparents. Taylor remains in Wisconsin. With Warren now in prison, Taylor connects with an old friend from school. His name is Shad Thyrion. Shad is described by family as someone who is mild-mannered, kind, and compassionate. But just like Taylor, he allegedly struggles with drug abuse too. As Shad and Taylor spend more time together, their relationship was less about romance and more about sex and drugs. And that brings us to the beginning of what unfolds on February 21st, 2022. Around 9:30 that evening, Taylor picks Shad up from his mom Tara's home. The two go to an apartment with another friend to smoke weed. Taylor and Shad reportedly return to Tara's home and they hang out in the basement of the house because Shad's mom and her boyfriend were away. They reportedly smoke meth and inject trazodone, which is a prescription antidepressant. It also reportedly acts as a sedative. They begin to engage in drug-fueled sex. Shad's mom Tara returns home not knowing her final goodbye to him has already happened. She goes downstairs to the basement to check on Shad, only to discover a scene no parent should ever witness. Moments later, a 911 call is placed.
I have no clue what's happening with my girl. Swears that she's found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Did you go down there?
And I went down, I can't tell what I'm part of my language, I'm kind of a little freaked out.
You're listening to the voice of Steve Hendricks, the boyfriend of Shad's mom, Tara.
You said you went down there, correct?
Yeah, and I lifted the towel, but I can't see very well, and I can't tell what the hell it is.
So there's something in the bucket.
There's something in the bucket there.
Do you think she's hallucinating, or do you think that...
I don't think so. I went down and there's something in the damn bucket. I don't know, man. She's a little freaked out and kind of freaking me out.
What's your girlfriend's last name?
Packing.
Can I talk to her?
Yes, you can.
Hello?
Hi, Tara. So can you tell me what's going on?
Are you positive my son's head is in a bucket, a young bucket in my basement?
What makes you think that?
Because I looked in the bucket.
What did you see?
Exactly what I told you.
Okay, where's the rest of the body at?
No idea.
Officers with the Green Bay Police Department respond to Tara Pecknick's home, only to discover a basement straight out of a horror movie.
Where's it at? So right there. Look right, there's a bucket where it's falling. Just keep my head. Let's just. Okay. Hold on. Just. That's real, right?
Soon, their worst suspicions are confirmed.
I know you're busy over there, but this is actually what it's going to be. It's not going to be a 961 thing or a 96 thing, so we're going to need more units here. Was that Fred one? No, for right now. If we could get more units here sooner rather than later, that'd be appreciated. We've got quite a bit of blood down here. I want to clear this rest of this house. We've got 2 people in the house for sure.
The details you're about to hear next are extremely disturbing. Police find a severed head inside a bucket located in the basement of Tara's home. Officials later confirm it was the head of Tara's son, 24-year-old Shad Thyrion. According to Green Bay PD, a towel has been placed over Shad's head and dried blood is found on a nearby mattress. Police notice something else. The rest of Shad's body is missing. How does something terrible like this even happen? And who is twisted enough to have done it? Officers need to find out who Shad was with last. His mom reveals to investigators the last time she saw her son, he was with a woman named Taylor Coronado. Remember, Shad and Taylor have known each other since high school, so that's the only name Tara knows her by. Investigators go to Taylor's last known address at the Eastman Avenue apartments, and there they find a blood trail.
Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here?
Could possibly be blood.
Hi, Taylor. How's it going? Officer Russell with the Green Bay Police Department. Just make sure you ain't got nothing on you here. With Taylor. Taylor, you have one warrant for your arrest. Just put your hands behind your back quick.
Do we have Adam 3 come up?
Hey, Custom, yeah, get up here.
One, there's what they came back to. Yeah, Leah.
Officers put Taylor in the back of the squad car. She barely says a word and is surprisingly calm for a woman who's just been arrested for a brutal murder. After arriving at the police station, she's brought into an interrogation room where detectives begin the standard evidence collection process. They take photographs.
Arms out again. Keep the arms out for a while. Thank you. And then can you turn your hands over for me? There you go.
She eventually changes out of street clothes and into a jail uniform. She's read her Miranda rights and says she's willing to talk to detectives. Normally in interrogations, you see investigators slowly easing into the questions, but not in this case. They need to know what in the world happened in that basement.
Well, they found a kind of disturbing stuff at the house there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of blood. Where's the rest of his body?
It's there. It's at his house.
Is it in the house?
It's at his house.
Okay. Can you tell me what happened?
It's a good question because I blacked out during that time.
Do you think the body is still there?
I don't see why not. Unless it just up and moved, which it could have. I don't know.
Where do you think the body would be?
I was right there by the bed.
It's by the bed, you think?
Yeah, I was cuddling it by the bed.
You were what?
I was cuddling it by the bed.
Are we hearing this right? Is Taylor Schabusiness not only saying she killed Shad, but cuddled with his body afterwards?
I don't know, there's this chain thing, right? And then, yeah, like I was playing around with it.
Okay.
And like we were smoking the right?
Okay.
And then, I'm terrible at explaining things, so, let's see here. And then, here comes the chain, right? And then he put it around his neck. Well, we were like playing around with shit, and then I don't know, I was tugging on it, and then I don't know.
You say you're smoking. What would that be?
Ice.
Face?
Ice.
Okay.
The way Taylor discusses Shad will send chills up your spine. It seems like it's just a raunchy joke to her. A quick warning, this next part is very sexually graphic. Listener discretion is advised. Taylor describes this particular sexual encounter with Shad as erotic asphyxiation. That's when you intentionally restrict oxygen to the brain for the purpose of sexual arousal. Taylor says this is something they did in prior sexual encounters too. But this time, Taylor says she put a metal chain around Shad's neck.
So will this be considered foreplay?
Yeah, it was. And then, I don't know. And then, I just didn't stop. I don't know why. I didn't stop.
All right, so you like being strangled, like having your airway, or do you like doing it to somebody else?
I like doing it to somebody.
During sex?
I have no idea. I think so.
Have you done it before?
Yeah,
With that?
yeah, he does. He likes it.
Taylor says she knew things were taken way too far. Still, she didn't call 911.
Do you try to call his mom or dad or anybody else in the house? You try to call an ambulance? Why not?
It's happened before.
So do you want him? You didn't want? You want him to die, or you did? I'm trying to understand.
I didn't want him to die, actually.
But he did.
He's my buddy, but like it happened again.
Happened again, but then did you feel a need to try to help him? Not choking him or get an ambulance? You didn't feel a need to do that?
I don't know why, it happened so fast.
In Taylor's own words, she's always had a dark, twisted philosophy when it comes to death.
I don't know. Like, this is the thing that I have, like, I've always had, you know, like, you ever love something so much that you kill it? Like, it happens to me. That's the feeling that I have. I love something so much that I kill it. Like, I cuddle it so much and then I kill it. That's what happens to me.
Taylor's alleged confession may keep you up at night. Not only does she remember Shad's final breaths, but, and this is hard for me to say, she continued sexually abusing his dead body.
So you dismembered the body too?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the body parts?
They're in the house.
Somewhere?
They're like,
Basement, upstairs, downstairs?
absolutely in the basement. I was gonna bring them with them. And then, I know I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
Did you bring anything with you?
Yeah, it's in the van.
What?
It's in the van. It's, what is it? I don't know, a foot maybe.
The what?
I think it's a foot.
A foot in the van?
A leg maybe. I don't know. I'm like, I'm gonna bring it all, and then I'm like, man, this is messy, so then I just left it. I got lazy.
Okay.
I got lazy, and that's what I did, so I'm like.
Okay. So there's going to be maybe a foot or a leg in the van. And then,
Yeah,
what did you do with the head?
I forgot that was in the van, so, yeah.
What did you do with the head?
The head, I put it in that bucket, that black bucket.
A black bucket?
With the blanket on top.
Okay.
Actually,
And then where'd you leave it?
leave the head? The head's still in the bucket. It's right by the stairs. Well, you're gonna have fun trying to look for all the organs, but yeah, they're all dismembered.
But when did you start, cutting up his body?
I don't know, like almost right away. I was sucking and cutting at the same time.
We're not sure what prompts the outfit change, but the other detective in the room wants more details on what Taylor did to Shad's body.
Yeah.
But you know that you cut off at the elbows?
Yeah.
Okay, you cut both arms off at the elbows?
I would hope so. Because like I was saying, that dismemberment process I did was like really messed up because like I was nodding out. And then I was like sawing it off.
What she's confessing to is disgusting and disturbing on so many levels. But during her initial interrogation, Taylor blames her alleged actions on drugs. She claims she's been awake for days after using meth. Could drugs alone explain what happened to Shad? Detectives aren't buying it, and they're about to uncover the shocking evidence they need to build the rest of their case, the missing pieces of Shad's body. According to Taylor's criminal complaint obtained by Law&Crime, detectives received additional information that reportedly came from Shad's mom. She reported that Taylor's van had been parked outside of her home for a day or so, but now it was gone. Police locate the van outside of Taylor's apartment. Taylor's complaint states, quote, "Patrol and other detectives were at an address on Eastman Avenue where the van Schabusiness has been using was parked and where Schabusiness had been taken into custody, and the van was later examined." Detective Luberta reports that in the rear passenger seat behind the driver's seat, there was a crock pot box. Medical examiner Dr. Vincent Tranquita went to the box, which was on top of a laundry basket of clothes, and located additional human body parts, including legs. Over the next few days, Taylor is shuttled between multiple locations and left sitting in interrogation rooms for hours at a time. But it's in the back of a squad car en route to yet another round of questioning that something shifts and the real Taylor begins to emerge.
Well, I'm going nuts right now.
You shouldn't be in the back of my car too long, okay?
I'm going nuts right now. I swear to God, I'm gonna.
Even as she's transported to the police station, her behavior doesn't change. At times, she even appears to look directly into the squad car's cameras as if she's aware that she's being recorded.
Hate that mother. Hate that mother. I hate seeing double. I really do. All the time. All the time. This is kind of annoying as I can't wait to get out of this car. Yeah, if I'm having issues right now because I can't see. I can't see straight at all. This is an issue. I can't see straight. I have an issue with my eyes right now. I can't see straight at all. I can't see. Can you get me out of this vehicle? Holy Christ, man.
She's brought back into the interrogation room on February 28th. In the autopsy report performed by medical examiner Dr. Tranquita, another unsettling detail emerges. So detectives asked Taylor about it.
Like the medical examiner asked me to ask you is, do you have any experience like being a butcher or anything like that, in meat processing, or deer hunting, or anything like that?
No.
He said that, some of the stuff that he saw just made him think that maybe you had some past experience with that type of stuff. So, obviously, when we talked before, he told us what happened with in his mom's basement. One of the things we didn't really talk about too much, we talked about a little bit, is there a particular reason why?
That night's a blur.
Is it blurry?
Real big blur.
Okay. What do you remember?
Oddly enough, I'll say this. I see myself doing it in third person.
Taylor's criminal complaint details a complete disregard for Shad's remains. According to court records, a certain male organ was found in the same bucket as Shad's head, along with body fluid and 2 knives. The filing says, quote, "Other body parts were found in the basement in other bags, including plastic shopping bags, along with 3 knives, including a bread knife consistent with kitchen knives. Located in a storage tote, an upper torso was located. The upper torso had numerous rigid cuts at the site where the head was removed consistent with the separated head. Also located in the tote was a carving knife consistent with a kitchen knife and several internal organs." During Taylor's second interrogation, she says whoever is responsible for doing this to Shad should go to prison for the rest of their lives.
I mean, like Dave said, if somebody kills somebody and dismembers them, do you not think that person probably should go to jail?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was up, so, like, I don't even know, like, I'm like, God.
Will that statement take on a different meaning as this case moves into the courtroom? Taylor Schabusiness is charged with 1 count of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of mutilating a corpse, and 1 count of third-degree sexual assault. She's held behind bars in the Brown County Jail. Her bond is set at $2 million cash. While Taylor admits in her interrogation to killing Shad, she pleads not guilty by reason of insanity. As the horrific details spill out in the news and online, many struggle to understand how a woman, who, by the way, is a wife and mother, could commit such a heinous crime. On March 17th of 2022, a Brown County Circuit Court judge orders Taylor to undergo mental evaluations. Since Taylor's offense is not guilty by reason of insanity, mental health professionals have to evaluate whether she's even competent to stand trial. Initially, Judge Thomas Walsh rules Taylor is competent to assist in her own defense. Taylor appears in a Brown County courtroom on Valentine's Day of 2023 for a hearing. Judge Walsh rules her trial will be delayed. But moments after making that ruling, suddenly all eyes are on Taylor as she starts attacking her defense attorney in front of the judge. It's not fully clear why Taylor attacks her attorney. We can only speculate. Perhaps it's because the judge delayed the trial. Maybe it's the intense scrutiny and pressure surrounding the case. Or perhaps it's because today marks Taylor's 3rd wedding anniversary with Warren. Regardless, Taylor's attorney Quinty Jolly says his relationship with Taylor is irretrievably broken. He files a motion to withdraw from Taylor's case. On February 27th of 2023, the judge grants his request. Taylor is given a new court-appointed attorney, Christopher Froelich, and now another hearing is on the calendar for March 24th of 2023. Following Taylor's courtroom attack on her previous lawyer, the judge rules she is competent to stand trial, despite objections from her new attorney. Months later, in July of 2023, the judge grants permission for Taylor to have a new competency hearing. During the July 2023 competency hearing, expert witnesses paint a picture into their time with Taylor Schabusiness. One psychologist in particular describes one incident where Taylor allegedly threw a chair at her.
Then when I started the interview, my usual asking her date of birth, her race. She then suddenly got up from her chair and yelled and went to the corner of the room, picked up fortunately it was plastic chair, and then she threw it at me across the room. It did not hit me. She then calmly sat back down and I rang for the guards, and it took them a couple minutes to get there. Meanwhile, I sat back down too, and then asked her about why she had done that. I did notice her physiological response was bizarre, which she didn't have any. After just doing that, being extremely angry, throwing a chair at her evaluator, her defense retained evaluator, she sat there very, no response, just blank face, no physiological response of a person who had just done such a thing.
Dr. Diane Litton testifies Taylor is not competent to stand trial. The prosecution's expert witness disagrees.
Or immediately after the defendant did such behavior, she only sat back down, which is inconsistent with someone who has a state of psychotic agitation, who typically would require significant external intervention or chemical or physical restraint in order to regain behavioral composure.
Judge Walsh rules once again Taylor is competent to stand trial.
I've observed Ms. Schabusiness interacting with her attorney. Obviously, I can't hear what they're talking about, but as I sit up here, I can see everything that goes on in the courtroom. I can see them interacting, discussing. Ms. Schabusiness indicates she thinks she can work with him. She understands what the courtroom procedures and players are. There's been occasions of inappropriate behavior, which Dr. Seipel indicated on testimony here, that he was fundamentally unable to rule out that they are volitional in nature. Satisfied, based upon all the evidence I've received, that the greater weight of the credible evidence in this case, and my assessment of the credibility is included in that the greater weight of the credible evidence supports a finding that Ms. Schabusiness is competent to proceed to trial, and I'm going to make that finding now.
Opening statements for Taylor's trial begin on July 24th, 2023. Right out of the gate, jurors hear every gruesome detail laid out by prosecutors.
You'll hear from the officers this morning, likely, who arrived on scene and what they observed, obviously confirming the information that was reported to law enforcement about Shad's circumstances, how they find the bucket and it has parts of Shad as well as knives. You'll hear about, at that point, a relative lack of other indicia of a crime occurred. It's not a significant amount of blood on the walls and on the floor. There's some, you'll hear about that, but it takes law enforcement time to see what actually happened, the full extent of what the defendant did in this case. By that point, they're actually interviewing the defendant, and she's providing them information that, no, Shad's still in the basement. The rest of him is still in the basement.
Remember, Taylor pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. That essentially means Taylor is admitting to the crime, but claims she was legally insane at the time it was committed. During the defense's openings, Taylor's attorney emphasizes the state has the burden of proof.
The state must prove to all of you jurors, beyond a reasonable doubt, each and every element of the crimes charged beyond a reasonable doubt. The United States Constitution presumes that every person who is accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. And in this case, Taylor Schabusiness is presumed to be innocent. She doesn't have to prove anything. The defense does not have to prove anything in this case. Why? Because the complete burden of proof rests with the district attorney's office, with the state of Wisconsin. They have to prove up all the facts. And in this case, you're going to hear a lot of different facts. You're going to hear a lot of different accounts from witnesses, citizen witnesses, detectives, police officers, experts, DNA analysts, medical examiners, all of that. You're going to have to take all of that information into consideration when you deliberate.
He is right. The state, of course, has the burden of proof, but they also have overwhelming evidence. They call a number of witnesses to the stand, including the responding officers, the 911 operator. But to me, the witnesses that made the biggest impact were Shad's loved ones, like Steve Hendricks, the boyfriend of Shad Thyrion's mom, Tara.
And can you tell me what happened with that?
Tara had woken me up and said she thinks she found Shad, her son's, that's how she put it, I found my son's head in a bucket. So I'm dumbfounded. Didn't believe her. Thought she was having a mental issue or something.
Sure. So, do you remember what time this would have been?
Had to be about between 2 and 3 in the morning. I know it was the middle of the night.
And at some point she comes back and tells you some information?
Yes.
What do you do then?
I go downstairs and see what the hell she's talking about, and I can't see anything, so we go back upstairs and contemplate what the heck to do.
So I guess what do you do specifically when you go downstairs?
I went to the basement and observed the bucket that she said, but I don't know, my mind blocked it out. All I seen was like hair, like an animal, or something. I didn't know what the heck.
We also hear in detail for the first time the perspective from Shad's mom, Tara, who initially discovered her son's dismembered head in a bucket. The judge rules that her face wouldn't be shown on camera, so her testimony is audio only.
What did you do next?
I went back up to the second floor of the house and woke up Steve to have him verify that I saw what I saw.
And what did Steve do?
He got up and he went downstairs with me. And he looked in the bucket, but he could not verify that it was what I thought it was.
What did you and Steve do next?
We went back upstairs to the second floor, because that's where our phones were plugged in, and decided if we were calling 911 or the non-emergency number.
I can't fathom finding anyone in that condition, especially not someone I love. There's another witness who the judge rules will not be shown on camera, and that's Shad's sister, Ava. She testifies that she was actually at home, possibly at the same time as Shad and Taylor.
At some point, did you hear other people in the residence?
Yes.
What did you hear?
I just heard footsteps downstairs.
When you say downstairs, are you talking about the stairs from the second floor to the first floor, or the stairs from the basement up to the first floor?
The basement up to the first floor.
Is that something that you heard frequently throughout that day?
Yes.
How about people's voices? Did you hear any people's voices on the night of the 22nd to the 23rd?
I heard a female voice.
Did you know who it was?
No.
Did you ever see a female in the residence on that date, the 22nd or the 23rd?
No.
Do you recall specifically anything that the female voice had said?
No.
Did you hear two voices or one voice or more than two voices?
Just one voice.
Did you know anything about who the female was talking to, or if she was talking to anyone?
No.
At some point, did you fall asleep on the night of the 22nd into the 23rd?
Yes.
And how were you awakened on that day?
I was awakened to a bang on my door from the police.
What happened when the police banged on your door?
I woke up and they told me to come to the kitchen.
After an emotionally heavy day of testimony from Shad's family, the following day the focus is back on the physical evidence. The state calls Dr. Vincent Tranquita to the stand. He's the medical examiner who performed Shad's autopsy.
It is my medical opinion that the cause of death of Shad Thyrion is strangulation, and that the manner of death is homicide.
Dr. Tranquita testifies to the gruesome physical evidence he observed during Shad's autopsy, like purple discoloration, burst blood vessels, and deep neck hemorrhages. The testimony is difficult to listen to, but prosecutors believe it's necessary for the jury to understand the full extent of what happened to Shad.
Just wanted to follow up on that particular last point. Doctor, you indicated in multiple areas where you saw evidence of strangulation. Did those same areas allow you to make some sort of determination or form an opinion as to the amount of force or the amount of time that force would have been applied to the neck?
Objection, speculation.
I think that's exactly what his professional role is.
This is a great deal of force. We're not talking about simply injuries to the superficial structures, for example, the skin. I have injuries to the very thick muscles on the sides of the neck. I have injuries to the soft tissues beneath this. I have injuries to all the soft tissues surrounding the neck, and I also have hemorrhage on the soft tissue on the anterior aspect of the cervical spine. This is hemorrhage deep through multiple layers of the neck, consistent with a great deal of force being applied and a great deal of injury.
Doctor, as we've heard, obviously there is a significant amount of mutilation to the body or disruption of the body in multiple different places. Can you describe how you are able to determine that those other cutting injuries to the portions of the body are post-mortem as opposed to causing the death of Shad?
In my examination, there was extensive post-mortem mutilation of the body. And I believe that this is post-mortem mutilation because there is no hemorrhage associated with these injuries. In other words, I have multiple sharp force trauma with multiple stab wounds, multiple punctures, multiple incised wounds of the skin, deep cuts within the muscles and tendons and soft tissue, deep cuts within the bone, but all of these cuts are non-hemorrhagic. In other words, there's no blood or bleeding associated with it. These are consistent with post-mortem mutilation. In other words, there's no circulation going on. There's very little blood actually still left within the vascular system. This is all consistent with the body being dismembered after death. It is my medical opinion that this would be quite a few hours. We have decapitation, we have dismemberment, we have transection of the torso. Subsequently, internally, the body has been eviscerated. In other words, we have entered inside the body through various cuts, both at the abdomen and between the ribs, where the victim's organs have been removed, largely one by one. We have castration of the decedent. The decedent has been castrated as well. We have cutting or sawing through chop mark injuries of the bones. It is my medical opinion that this would have taken quite a great deal of time.
There's more disturbing evidence, like Taylor's online search history and her fascination with a certain infamous Wisconsin serial killer.
There was searches, things of like...
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Relevancy. I mean, searches on the phone. People search, research, look at all kinds of different things. I would argue that some of these things, I believe, could be inflammatory and more prejudicial than probative.
I'll overrule the objection. You can go ahead and answer the question, ma'am.
Things such as flaming pentagram, Jeffrey Dahmer, things like that. KKK, I believe, was one of them.
And Detective, did you note the dates and times of the respective searches that you believed were relevant?
It was around the time of the homicide.
In the days shortly before?
In the days shortly before, yes. Yes, she searched Jeffrey Dahmer. And then she searched cadaver definition, Jeff Boyardee, blow-up doll customized face.
I can't imagine what could be going through the jurors' minds. Here we have a woman accused of a horrific crime, and now jurors are hearing about her disturbing obsession with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ms. Libert, I believe yesterday we discontinued when you were discussing your analysis of Ms. Schabusiness's phone and then a subsequent Google warrant obtaining the data from the phone. Can you explain the two different searches that you did on the phone and then on the Google warrant?
Sure. The first search I did of the phone, the cell phone device itself, was done on March 2nd, and that was just the contents of the phone. And then in discussing it with computer forensic analyst Danowski, she suggested that an additional warrant could be done for further information regarding the email addresses, the Gmail addresses that were connected to the phone, and that would have been a whole separate warrant and a separate search.
And when you were reviewing the phone itself, the extraction of the phone itself on March 2nd of 2022, did you note any searches related to Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Was there one? Was there more than one? How many?
24 total searches, such things like Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeff Boyardee, Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, Jeffrey Dahmer walking into court all sexy. She's got a cell phone next to her head. There's a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer on the screen of the cell phone, and she's taking a selfie with it and smiling like they're taking a selfie together.
And what is the date of that photograph?
That was February 12th, 2022.
It might be dawning on jurors that Taylor took this selfie photo just days before Shad's murder. The following day, the prosecution rests their case. The defense decides not to present any witnesses, and Taylor decides she's not taking the stand.
Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Your attorney indicates to me that he would like me to have this instruction read to the jury. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you agree with that?
Yes.
You feel you need any more time to talk to him about that decision?
No.
Okay.
With all the evidence laid out, now it comes down to closing arguments. This is Caleb Saunders for the prosecution.
There's a lot of points in that interview where the defendant is telling you exactly what her intent was in this case, right? His face was turning purple, right? She describes that, and how he's coughing up blood, and you know that's accurate, right? Because you heard Dr. Tranquita's testimony, and you saw those photographs. She's seeing that in person, and yet what does she say? I still didn't stop. No. She felt a heartbeat at one point, right? She talks about feeling his heartbeat, and she kept pulling more, and he wouldn't die. And, I just wanted him, and I was like, damn. Right? She admits even that Shad's struggling in this moment, that he's fighting back, right? You heard from Dr. Tranquita as well about how it looked like at one point there were signs of that, where the collar slipped up along the tongue. She's telling you, I was waiting for him to die. I liked it.
In their closing arguments, the defense once again argues Taylor wasn't in the right state of mind, and what she said during her interrogation can't be taken at face value. This is Christopher Froelich for the defense.
She says, I have no idea to some of the questions that the detectives asked her. You remember seeing the video on the screen. I'd ask that you recall that she had inappropriate laughs, inappropriate smiling, odd responses. I would submit that she indicated that she did not have sex. She did not have penis-to-vagina intercourse with Shad Thyrion. She indicated that she came to the residence and they went downstairs, and within 5 minutes they got to it, whatever that means. She talked about, during the interview with Detective Groff, rebuilding muscle or rebuilding into muscle. Sometimes she wasn't responsive. She talked about hearing gunshots, but I believe Detective Groff said that there were no gunshots in the area of Stony Brook, Eastman Avenue, some other place. She said she was paranoid. She said weird things like, I don't like open spaces. I don't like open spaces. No clothes came off. No kissing.
The jury deliberates on the case, and I don't think I've ever seen a verdict come down this fast. The jury deliberates for less than 1 hour.
First verdict reads as follows. We, the jury, find the defendant, Taylor Denise Schabusiness, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 1 of the information, dated this date, July 26, 2023, signed by the foreperson. Second verdict reads as follows. We, the jury, find the defendant, Taylor Denise Schabusiness, guilty of mutilating a corpse as charged in count 2 of the information, dated this date, July 26, 2023, signed by the foreperson. The next verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant, Taylor Denise Schabusiness, guilty of third-degree sexual assault as charged in count 3 of the information, dated this date, 26th day of July, 2023, signed by the foreperson.
Taylor's case isn't over just yet. Because she pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, the day after her verdict, her case moves to the second phase. During the second phase, it's the same judge and jury. The only difference is the defense has the burden of proof, meaning now they have to convince the jury that Taylor Schabusiness meets the legal standard for insanity. This verdict could ultimately determine if Taylor spends the rest of her life in prison or is committed to a state mental health facility. Here's Taylor's defense attorney, Christopher Froelich, again during his opening statement.
So the defense does have the burden of proof on this issue of whether our client is responsible for these crimes. But we believe that the testimony and the evidence will show that at the time of the offense that she did have a mental disease or defect. We believe that the information and the testimony will show and hopefully lead to you to conclude that she lacked the substantial capacity to appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct or to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law. And what I ask is that you just sit back, carefully listen to what these experts have to say, and then render a fair and just result. Thank you.
From the prosecution's perspective, they believe the argument is straightforward. Here's Caleb Saunders again for the prosecution.
Let's address the obvious. What Ms. Schabusiness did to Shad is disturbing. It's conduct we don't see often. It's conduct that you may hear about and think, my gosh, that person must not have been in their right mind when that happened. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you otherwise. But you've already carefully listened to the evidence and followed the law that the judge gave you. And you'll do so going forward as well. Because you will be told what a mental disease or defect is and what it is not. A mental disease is not antisocial conduct. It's not conduct brought about by use of a controlled substance, a temporary mental state caused by a controlled substance. A person is not mentally ill just because they commit something that's unnatural, that's so enormous, that just is beyond comprehension, right? You'll be instructed that those are not mental diseases or defects. So as disturbing as the conduct you already heard about is, and may be, that's not where the analysis ends.
Although the defense didn't present any witnesses during Taylor's first phase of trial, it's completely different this time. The defense calls a few witnesses to the stand, but this is the first time we're hearing from someone in Taylor's family. The defense calls Taylor's dad Taylor Coronado.
Did it ever come to a point where you didn't want her to stay there anymore because her behaviors were getting worse, or her mental status was getting worse?
No, I love my daughter, so I'll do whatever it takes to help her out.
According to Arturo's testimony during the second phase of Taylor's trial, Taylor's real issues began when her husband Warren allegedly introduced her to hardcore drugs.
Mr. Coronado, were you aware of whether or not your daughter was employed during the time that she was residing with you on Moraine Way?
She was not at the time, no.
Do you know anything about her employment history as an adult?
Sure.
And had she held jobs in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know where she worked?
She worked for Saputo. She worked a couple of years, Saputo, 3.5 years probably.
And is that relatively recently? Prior to her arrest, of course.
Yeah, right, prior to.
Yeah, and
she was doing really well there too, until her boyfriend / husband got out of jail. That turned everything upside down.
Yeah, in part because of the methamphetamine use, right?
Yep.
So Taylor was doing pretty well, and then she started using the drugs.
What was the drug?
Meth, heroin, whatever else. I don't know.
Marijuana?
Yeah, I don't know. The kid was already doing that before, and just a loser, and he got my daughter involved in that.
It's unclear how long it's been since Taylor has seen her dad by this point, but the father-daughter pair seem to be happy to see each other. As he's exiting the courtroom, Taylor and her dad say "I love you" to each other, and Taylor whispers something to her dad right in front of the jury.
Love you.
I love you too. Go Bears. Take care of them.
She allegedly whispers "Go Bears," like as in the Chicago Bears. Still, testimony continues. The defense calls Dr. Diane Litton. Prior to Taylor's first trial, she evaluated Taylor, and she's the same psychologist who testified during the July pretrial hearing where Taylor allegedly threw a chair at her.
My opinion is that she qualifies for the not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. My opinions are that she was not responsible because of a mental disease. She wasn't responsible for the criminal conduct because at the time of the event, she had the mental disease, and it both affected, she lacked substantial capacity to both appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct at the time the homicide occurred, but also she could not conduct, she couldn't conform. She lacked volitional control. She couldn't conform her conduct to the requirements of law. She was lacking in her ability to control herself. Based on my experience and training, that's a psychotic person right there.
Once the defense rests their case, the state calls their own experts, like Dr. Christina Ingen, who doesn't agree with Dr. Litton's findings.
The diagnoses that I offered were methamphetamine-related use disorder, and that was applied in acknowledgement of Ms. Schabusiness's general use of methamphetamine in that time period. The diagnosis of methamphetamine intoxication was applied because she was using methamphetamine at the time of the crime. And then the final diagnosis I gave was methamphetamine-induced psychotic disorder. And I offered that one because Ms. Schabusiness was describing, and the records contained indication of paranoia. I think she made a comment about muscle rebuilding during the homicide, and this indicated to me the presence of psychotic symptoms, which I attributed to the recent methamphetamine use.
During closings, the defense argues Taylor meets the legal definition of insanity based on the crime she's been convicted of and her overall mental health history.
I would argue that the mental health issues that she has caused this whole situation. And that'll be something you have to think about. Is she able to appreciate, or was she able to appreciate, the wrongfulness of her conduct on February 22nd of 2022? Was she able to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law at that particular time? And you saw the video. We all saw it. It was very bizarre, very unusual, very odd, her demeanor. You know, in this case, there are a lot of doctors, but Dr. Engine, you know, she never knew about the civil commitment order. Come on. You didn't know about a court order? And she's a PhD and she deserves respect, but something happened here where it fell through the cracks that she didn't know about this civil commitment order or this medication order. And then we have Dr. Seipel, you know, he got the Bellin records, got them from me. And, you know, he does a report for this case, and I find it incredible. It's incredible that he doesn't send, with due respect to him, he doesn't send the Bellin records over to Dr. Engine, knowing that she's going to come in here and testify in a court of law in front of you jurors. I find that unbelievable. I don't make the law, but the law, you know the law because the judge read it to you. You have to consider whether she's responsible because of a mental disease or defect. So you've got to think about all of that. The defense didn't fail. There is a plethora of evidence to show her mental health history.
The prosecution argues Taylor's bipolar disorder didn't explain or even justify the killing of Shad.
I think it was the dope. I blame it on being on drugs and the come down. I barely do drugs, then months go by, then I do drugs. Admitting on multiple occasions, both to evaluators and to law enforcement, about consuming a significant amount of methamphetamine for these offenses, admitting that she and Shad were toking methamphetamine beforehand. She even talks about how she was still tweaking on meth during the dismemberment process. Ultimately, that's what this case comes down to, right? Because as we heard from, I think, every doctor, it's difficult to parse out psychotic symptoms versus drug use. So when we're talking about whether somebody has a mental disease or defect and they're voluntarily ingesting methamphetamine, it's really hard to say that that's due to some other underlying mental health issue, right? And that kind of makes sense in our common sense. But ultimately, that's what this case comes down to.
Like the first phase of trial, jurors had a verdict within an hour.
At the time the crimes were committed, did the defendant have a mental disease or mental defect? Answer, no. There's no answer then for question 2. It is dated this date, July 27, 2023, signed by the foreperson. There were no dissenting jurors.
This now means Taylor is likely facing the rest of her life in a Wisconsin state prison. Taylor's sentencing is set for September 26 of 2023. And now she has to face Shad's family once again. But when she appears inside the courtroom for her hearing, deputies seem to already be on high alert. She's ordered to wear a spit mask, and she remains shackled to her chair. Shad's family, however, doesn't seem to mind. This will likely be the last time they will ever be in the same room as the woman who brutally murdered and mutilated Shad. During victim impact statements, family members don't hold back how they really feel about her, like Shad's Uncle Kelly.
Don't make no sense to me even to have the option of parole to come back and to gain someone's trust like that again. You know, because that is like the lowest thing a person can do. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that. And the biggest thing is, you know, like I said, you know, the help is free and it's there. You chose not to take, you know, I'm sure you knew you had a problem, you know. You can't blame it on childhood. You know, there's help out there. And if you take the path to go get the help, you wouldn't be in this situation right now. None of us would be in this situation. But to take the cowardly path that you did and to make other people suffer because you were suffering is pretty So that name Taylor fits you well. And I'm not a praying man, but after Judge Walsh's sentences today, I will pray that you meet the same fate as your idealistic Jeffrey Dahmer. So have a good life.
But Shad's father, Michael Thyrion, shocks everyone with his statement.
Taylor, I just wanted to say that I forgive you for what you done to my son. And yeah, you made a bad choice, and now you have to live with it. But you know, I'm gonna miss Shad. He was a wonderful child too. Growing up, just mild mannered and just happy, and I know you made a bad choice. And like I said, I forgive you, and I'm gonna ask the judge if he can, if she can see the streets again sometime. It may not be soon, but I believe everybody makes bad choices, and maybe not to the scale, but I think there's a lot of hope for you. I think, you can make use of your time and be a better person and do great things yet, so it does no good for me to hate you, I know you got a heart, I know you got a mind. I wish you no harm, and I hope things go well for you. That's all I got to say. Okay. Thank you.
For Taylor's ultimate sentence, the prosecution and defense each had their own recommendations, but the final decision rests solely on the judge.
This crime offends human decency, it offends human dignity, and it offends the human community. It really does. When someone loses their life needlessly, it's tragic. It really is. It's tragic for family and friends and community. When life is taken from a person in the fashion that it was in this case, where the victim's remains are cut up and packaged in containers, it's difficult to identify a human nature in those activities. It really is. So the need to protect the public is an important factor the court needs to struggle with as well. And in light of what I've just indicated, I think it's plain that there is a need to protect the public in this case. As I said, this behavior seems so removed from the human community as to be unpredictable. It really is. And in a place where this kind of an offense, kind of actions, kind of a crime is possible, with no advanced warning signs, and absolutely anything's possible then. Where this kind of a thing is possible, absolutely anything is possible. And from that, the public needs protection. Sentenced as follows. As to in 22 CF 363, count 1, that's the first degree intentional homicide as a repeater. It's a Class A felony. I'm going to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made. As far as count 2, mutilation of a corpse as a repeater, a Class F felony, I'm going to adopt the recommendation of the pre-sentence investigation writer. 7.5 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That'll be consecutive to count 1. As far as count 3, third degree sexual assault as a repeater, Class G felony, I'm going to impose 3 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That will be consecutive to count 2 and count 1. As far as the revocation cases, I'm going to impose 1 year of incarceration on each of those counts. Those will run concurrent to the other offenses.
Taylor Schabusiness is ordered to serve out her life sentence at the Teachita Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Of course, the same woman who attacked her lawyer in court and was convicted of brutally murdering her friend couldn't stay out of trouble long. According to reports in July of 2024, Taylor is accused of attacking prison staff. She is charged in the incident. Online court records show she was represented by a different attorney, Curtis Jolka, who entered to represent her in January of 2025. In April of 2025, she appears in a Fond du Lac County courtroom, where she once again attacks her attorney in court. Following this attack, Curtis Jolka asked the judge if he could withdraw from her case, but the judge reportedly wants proceedings to continue. And they did, but this time Taylor is video conferenced in. Court records show that after the hearing, Curtis Jolka withdraws as Taylor's attorney, and Christopher Froelich, Taylor's trial attorney, takes over representation once again. Months later, in October of 2025, Taylor pleads no contest to disorderly conduct. In December of 2025, a judge sentences Taylor Schabusiness to 90 additional days in jail, which will run consecutive to her existing sentence. Online records with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections show she's still incarcerated at the Taycheedah Correctional Institution. This was a disturbing and difficult case to cover, and I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I'm Elizabeth Milner, and we'll see you back here next week with another female criminal.